Welcome to the Holborn Assets channel. In this series, we look at major events in the history of economics that help to shape the world we live in today. If you think of an event we missed, or there's some topic on money and finance you'd like us to discuss, just leave a comment and it'll help us make the videos you want to see. In a department store in Tokyo, the Tokyo Telecommunications Engineering Corporation was founded on the 7th of May 1946. In 1958, they changed their name to Sony and went on to become one of the most enduring electronics brands in the world. The name itself was a smart piece of branding, since they realized Americans would have trouble with many Japanese names. So they took the Latin word sonus for sound and combined it with the idea of sunny boys, a term used in Japan taken from American English, meaning smart young men. They built a reputation on high-quality products, mainly in the audio industry, and they are a big part of why Japanese electronics are still held in such high regard. It now has reach across the entire entertainment industry, not just creating the technology to use media, but now creating the media itself. Their music arm, Sony ATV Music Publishing, owns the Michael Jackson back catalogue, maybe the most valuable music asset that exists. Their movie arm produces major franchises like Spider-Man, Resident Evil, and they have been the distributor for all the Daniel Craig James Bond films. And let's not forget their gaming giant, PlayStation. The company today typically has revenues of over $500 billion. The largest ever foreign takeover of an American business came on the 7th of May 1998, when German car manufacturer Daimler-Benz, who run the Mercedes-Benz brand, agreed a $40 billion merger with Chrysler. Well, it was called a merger, but it looked very much like a takeover to anyone else. The companies barely integrated their lines at all until around 2003, when some new models were a combination of both companies' parts. However, by late 2007, Daimler had sold off Chrysler as its losses continued to grow. In fact, it was doing so badly that they actually paid a capital management company called Cerberus $650 million to take Chrysler and all its liabilities off their hand. Chrysler went bankrupt in 2009 and now is controlled by Italian auto manufacturer Fiat. In the first part of the 19th century, the American economy was propped up by cotton and, of course, the ugly slave trade that went along with it. In 1836, the Bank of England decided that its monetary reserves were too low thanks to poor wheat harvests in Britain, meaning more than expected had been spent on importing food. So they raised interest rates and reduced lending. The New York Bank soon followed, but this rise in interest rates affected the price of cotton, knocking 25% off its value in 1837. To make matters worse, President Andrew Jackson had signed an executive order in 1936 called the Specie Circular. This required all government land to be paid for in gold or silver to stop the wild speculation that had been going on in currency. This created two problems. First, land value crashed as buying land became much more difficult. And secondly, most of the land being purchased was in the West, so that's where a lot of the gold and silver ended up, meaning the East was in short supply. Eastern banks had low reserves, so they became much more reluctant to lend. The result was that people panicked and wanted to swap cash for gold and silver, which would have collapsed the banking system. So, on the 10th of May 1837, they suspended specie payments, which meant that cash could no longer be swapped for its full gold or silver value. This led to a recession that lasted into the mid-1840s. So, that was the week. We're sure there were plenty of other important things going on, but we don't want to get too carried away, right? Don't forget to subscribe to Holborn Assets, not just to learn more about the history of economics, but also for plenty of videos on how to make simple investments, start saving, and just generally take control of your finances.